Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Let's discuss about one of the most frequently asked interview questions in Java. That is nothing but the ways to create an object in Java. First approach is create an object in Java is using the keyword new. So we can create the object using the keyword new, and it is most popular and very simple way in Java. New operator will always followed by a call to constructor which initializes the new object. So in the approach of creating an object using new keyword, the constructor will get called. So using this way we can call no or constructor and as well as parameterized constructor. Let's see an example program. Here I am creating an object for a class new keyword using the new operator. So in this way we can create an object of a class using the new keyword. Let's discuss about another approach to create an object, that is using the method new instance of the class which is inside the java.lang package. So in this approach to create an object of the class, we should know the name of the class, and the class should have the default constructor, so that we can create an object using new instance method inside the class with the name class. This is the syntax. We have a for name method in the class. So for that method we have to pass a class complete path to which we need to create an instance. So for the method for name inside the class will load the employee class. It won't create an object. So then we need to call new instance method on it. It will create an instance of the employee class. This is the syntax to create an object using the new instance method inside the class with the class name class. As we discussed, class.forName actually loads the class, but it doesn't create any object. To create an object of the class, you have to use the new instance method of the class. Then using this approach, there is a possibility of getting some exceptions like illegal access exception. This exception will be thrown when the class or its nullary constructor is not accessible. That time there is a chance of getting the illegal access exception, and there is a chance of getting instantiation exception when the class represent an abstract class or an interface or a primitive type to which you need to create an object using the new instance method. See here, class name is new instance method. Then I am calling the for name method of the class and passing the new instance method class name as an argument, so it will load the class. Then on top of it I am calling the new instance method so that it will create an instance for that new instance method class. So in this way we can create an object for a class in Java using new instance method in class. As we discussed, we enclosed this code inside the try block because there is chance of getting the exceptions, and those exceptions I have handled here. There is a possibility of getting the class not found exception and instantiation exception and illegal exception. So those exceptions we need to catch and we need to handle it. And similarly, we have new instance method inside the constructor class. We have constructor class inside the package java.lang.reflect. So using this method we can create an object in different format, in different way. And here we have an advantage. So using the reflection concept, constructor class, we can create an object of the class which having the private constructor. That means we can create an object of the class which has the private constructor, using the reflection concept. Here, when we use the new instance method of the constructor class to create an object, the constructor gets called, the constructor gets executed. This is syntax to create an object using the new instance method in constructor class. This is third approach. So as we discussed, I am importing the java.lang.reflect package. So I am calling the get declared constructor, which will return the constructor class instance, and then on top of it I am calling the new instance method so that it will create instance. So first I am getting the reflection method dot class. On top of that class I am calling the get declared constructor, then it will return the constructor instance. Then I am invoking the new instance method using that constructor instance, then it will create the instance of reflection method class. Another approach we have is using clone method to create an object. So using clone method to create an object doesn't invoke any constructor. And one more main thing is to use clone method on any object, we need to make sure that class implemented the clonable interface, and the method clone is defined in it. These two things we need to make sure when we need to use clone on a particular object. When we call clone method on an object, JVM creates new object and copy the all the content of the previous object into it. It's just like creating a copy of an existing object. This is the this is the syntax of the clone method. As we discussed, for example, I need to do in creation of an object for the clone example class. So what we need to make sure that clone example class must implement the clonable interface, and the clone method should needs to be defined in the same class. So I implemented the clonable interface and defined the cloned method within the same class. So I created the object for clone example class using the new keyword. Then using that object, using object 1, I am calling the clone method, so that I am creating another object for the class clone example. So this is the way we can create an object of Java class using the clone method. And we need to make sure that the code which we are using clone method to create an object must be enclosed in try block. There is a possibility of getting the clone not supported exception. So when we use clone method to create an object, we need to make sure that the class implemented the clonable interface and the clone method has been overridden and defined in that same class. And another approach is deserialization. So when we do serialize and deserialize, then JVM creates a separate object. When we do deserialization, JVM doesn't use any constructor to create an object. And here one more thing we need to remember, that is, uh, when we're trying to do serialize or deserialize on a particular class, we need to make sure that that class must implement the serializable interface. This is the main thing we need to remember here. Here in this video, let's see an example to create an object using serialization deserialization concept. So I am declaring the class deserialization example, that class implementing the serializable interface. Sorry. Then we are doing the serialization of that class using the object output stream and write object method on object output stream. So in that way we are doing the serialization of that class. So once we did serialization, we do deserialization. So when we trying to do deserialization, that time we should use object input string and read object which is inside the object input string. So that way we can get the object which is serialized earlier. So now uh, another object created when we call read object method on object input string. So totally we have 5 ways to create an object. One is using the new keyword. Second one is using the new instance method, which is inside the class with the name class. And third one is using the new instance method, which is inside the constructor class. Fourth one is using the clone method. Fifth one is deserialization. Here main things we need to remember, uh, uh, when we do creating an object using the clone method, that time that class should be implemented the clonable interface, and the clone method must be overridden inside that class. That is main thing we need to remember when we use the clone method. And another one, when we do serialization and deserialization, that time we need to make sure that the class should implement serializable interface. Thank you for watching.